Hello and welcome to the Insecure Chef. I'm here with my wife Regina and we're going to cook up a delicious soup today. I call it creamy asparagus and cauliflower soup. It's done in the Ninja Foodie. It's a quick pressure cooker and I'm watching my wife move the camera all over the place, so I don't know what you might see. But you might enjoy the walls of my kitchen. Anyway, let's get started. So again, to make this, we're going to start with the pot from the Ninja Foodie for purposes of pressure cooking, which we'll do momentarily. I'm going to take a can, which is about 14 to 15 ounces of chicken broth. You can use low sodium, regular sodium stuff, or you could use anything you made yourself if you do any broth or whatever. This worked fine for us. So this is about 14 and a half ounces, which is an interesting size. Approximately two cups. It's not that critical. We're going to be adding other ingredients which will add more water as well. All right. To that, we're going to add the frozen cauliflower. Now this is a 10-ounce bag, so just about all of it's going to go in. Try not to splash it all over yourself. And for that matter, you can use all of it if you want it. It's a very, very easy and non-critical soup. So yeah, that's about most of the bag. I left a little bit behind for other purposes. To that, I'm going to be adding the canned asparagus. I like the canned asparagus very much, especially since we're going to be pureeing it and turning it into a very creamy mixture. This is already very soft and it's easy to use. So I'm going to take that. This, by the way, is I think this is a 15 ounce, but of course that includes a lot of the water that's in there, and we'll be using that water. All right. What I suggest though is that before you pour it into the foodie, you take several stalks out and just grab the tips at the end. I'm going to be just saving these little tips right here. I'll move dear, and I'm going to be using those at the end just to add as a garnish to the finished soup. So I just took a few off. How many you take, your call. So the rest of the asparagus I'm going to be pouring in on top of the broth and the cauliflower. All right. Now with that, I'm going to take a teaspoon of sea salt. So I have a teaspoon here. Let me open this up. Teaspoon of sea salt. And again, if you're controlling salt, use less. If you don't really worry about salt, use more. And you can always add it at the back end at the table. Okay, so that's a teaspoon of sea salt. And then to that, I'm going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. Okay, good old nutmeg. Okay, 1/4 of a teaspoon going in. You don't want to go too crazy with this. Very powerful spice. Yeah, that should do just fine. All right, that's 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. All right, with that, I'm going to bring this over to the foodie. Okay, let me get out a stirrer here. I prefer my wooden. Yeah. All right, turn this a little bit so you can see. All right, I'm going to put the pot in the foodie, and I'm going to give it a little stir. Okay, you can mash up the asparagus if you want, but it's really not going to be important. It's soft, and we're going to be using an immersion blender at the end of this to turn this into a very nice pureed soup. Okay, no big deal there. Now with that, I'm going to put our Ninja Foodie, which is of course set over to seal. All right, there it goes. We're all set there, making sure it's on seal. And we're going to set it pressure cook on high for 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Just want to double check. Okay. because I hate trusting my memory, but 5 minutes is correct. And then we're going to hit start. Okay, so we're going to let this come up to pressure, let it go 5 minutes, and then just before the 5 minutes we'll come back and we'll release the pressure and continue the recipe. Okay, we're back, and as you can see, we're down to just 5-6 seconds left here on the pressure cooking. So I'm going to be releasing it momentarily. Okay, here we go. And what? All right, sorry for that little technical problem. Anyway, the foodie has finished pressure, and I'm going to be. It's open now, making sure that the little red button has fallen down, which it has. So I'm going to open that up. Be careful, you always have hot steam here. Just going to move it over here for safety. All right. Now, if you look inside here, all right, you'll see that these have cooked down very nicely. Can you get that, camera lady?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of just smishing it down a little bit. Not really necessary, probably, because you'll see what our next step is, but just making sure there are no big clumps. There's certainly nothing hard in here at all. So, alrighty. Looks good. Gonna take that out of there. I'm gonna get on my trusty oven gloves. These are excellent. They're very resistant, yet I can maneuver in them. And they have the very complex name of glove. Okay, so I'm going to take this out of here. I'm going to bring it over to here. And I'm going to pour it into this bowl, making sure the bowl is big enough to handle the volume and the pureeing step. Okay, that's empty. Put that in the sink. And now we're going to take an immersion blender and stick it in here, and we'll get started. Going to continue this until it gets nice and puree, and then we'll be back. Okay, I'm using the immersion blender. I'm just about done now. And, you know, how long you do it is really up to you. Depends on how you like the consistency, but this is about ready for us to say it's done. Okay. Let's unplug this. Safety. Hang that over there for drippy. And that's the basic soup. You see it's got a nice thick consistency to it. Okay. Now to that, I'm going to ladle it into our soup bowls. Am I in your way? I'm not in your way? Good. I'm going to ladle this into our soup bowls. See how nice and creamy that is? Again, reminder, there's absolutely no cream in here. You saw the ingredients. Okay, that's bowl number 1. And now we get bowl number 2. Is that good for you, dear?
Perfect.
All right. Put that over here. Okay, now to that, I'm going to add just a little basil leaf. Just give it a little topping on that, like that. And then to that, I'm going to take the reserved asparagus tips and just throw them on top. Just a couple, or as many as you reserved the first time. It's a nice little something when you eat. All right. Excuse my hands, but they're clean. Alrighty. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, we'll move this over here. And then to that, I thought for sure I took out a teaspoon.
And you did.
And
I don't
we
know.
managed to lose it. Don't move.
Okay.
You're always moving. Always moving. All right, and now we're just gonna top it with a little grated parmesan cheese. Is that good for you, dear?
Perfect.
Okay. And you know, you can stir it in or leave it on. It'll eventually melt. So, there is our two dishes of creamy asparagus and cauliflower soup. I think it's a very quick recipe, and it's delicious. And again, no cream in here at all. All right, so from my wonderful wife, Regina.
Have a good night.
And from the Insecure Chef, bon appetit.